So recently, I saw a video of third graders playing basketball, and they were acting in the same way that you would see at the high school or even the professional level. And after watching the video, I started to think, are we ruining the way youth sports is being played today? Is it because of social media? Is it because the camera people on the sideline? I'm going to be talking about that today, and I'm going to be explaining why I think there's more to it than just those two things. So let's get into it. Hey, what's up, everybody? So before we continue with the podcast, I just want to let you know how we got this podcast in the first place, all right? So when we were looking to create one, we needed something that was simple to use, right? We needed something that had all the buttons in one place. We didn't want to have to download different softwares to figure out how to record, how to edit, that sort of thing. And so what we use is Anchor. Now with Anchor, you can upload your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more, all right? And it is totally free. There's nothing to pay for at all. You don't even need to put down your credit card to sign up, anything like that. All right. Everything you need in one place. So with the podcast, again, you can distribute it, you can edit, you can whatever you need to do with it. It is totally all free in one place. All right. So all you have to do is download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, guys, this is the place to be if you want to make a podcast. You want to earn money with it too. You can create ads on there as well, just like this one, and you can start earning money right away. There's no minimum listenership at all. You go straight to creating an ad and earning money right away from the very first episode. So again, all you have to do is download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. And let's get back to the episode. So let's first talk about content creators, and let's talk about this whole social media era of everybody getting a mixtape, everybody getting highlights. I want to say, first of all, as a content creator myself, as a person who records and creates these mixtapes, I could say that I am biased in a way because I feel like people first want to point at video creators. They want to talk about all these camera people on the sidelines that are making these kids show out, making these kids do things that they wouldn't normally do. And I'm here to say that I think that, yes, that is true. But I think that's one of the things that you can point to. But I think there's so many other things that are going on nowadays that you can't just look at video creators. And I'm going to be talking about some of those things. But for right now, I just want to talk about the whole video creating thing. How I see it is I see it as creating memories for everyone. Like, I don't feel like you should be limited to being a top player to have the best looking videos and be able to have the best looking memories for yourself. Because I remember when I was playing sports, we didn't really have all this. Like, it's crazy how fast it went to where now it seems like there's always video creators. There's always people, making memories for people, because I know all I have is a couple blurry pictures that I had my mom grab a camera and take. And I have some huddle film that, was on a blurry camera. And, I don't have anything outside of that. I don't have mixtapes to look back on. I don't have, real good quality pictures, in-game pictures. And so I did see Austin Rivers, son of Doc Rivers, post about or do an interview about how back in his day, it was only the top players getting mixtapes. And if you weren't one of those guys, you weren't getting one, and you had to, be lucky to even get one and all kinds of things. And I get that. I get that understanding. And I see where, like, man, why does everybody have a mixtape nowadays? But again, on the flip side, and from a video creator point of view, I think it's just opportunity now for everybody to have those memories and feel special and feel like, I had a great game. Maybe I'm not a huge superstar player, fine, but I had a great game and I want to remember it. Maybe it was my, 25, 30 points in a game I had, or a Football Reference, I had 4 touchdowns and all these other stats that were important to me in that game that I want to remember and look back on and see the crowd and see my reactions, see my team's reactions, all that type of thing that you can't get from just watching a huddle. I mean, you can in a way, but you don't get to hear it. You don't get to really feel it from a huddle video. But when you have somebody on the sideline filming, that's when you really feel it. Being able to create those memories for people is something that I value and I really do enjoy doing. I think it's just one level on the whole scale of who to blame, because we can honestly move next to how there's now sites that are ranking youth athletes. To me, that's more crazy than there being, camera people on the sidelines capturing memories. Now, I haven't seen this in other sports, but I'm sure it's going on. I've seen it in football where they're literally ranking youth athletes, individuals, and teams. I think that this is more detrimental to the amateurism of even the youth athletes, because if you're now ranking youth athletes, it's going to cause them to want to compete more. It's going to cause them to want to show out more, want to individualize themselves apart from their team, or even as a team individualize themselves. It's going to make them see themselves as, okay, where am I at on the leaderboard, or what's the next write-up that's going to be put out there about me. And again, this is at a youth level, so even me just saying these things just sounds crazy when I'm talking about a third grader or a fourth grader, even fifth grader. Before you even get to middle school, now you have these sites that are actually putting together a write-up about you and trying to see how you fare against competition, and and analyzing you and analyzing what your strengths and weaknesses are and things like that. I've seen it, and so I feel like that's something that can also play a role in these youth athletes just showing out. Because if I'm a parent, I'm saying, hey son, you need to get serious, you need to step it up, you need to step up, you need to show out, you need to make a name for yourself already. There's rankings now on you, and there's rankings on your team, so you need to stop playing around and get serious, because this is a business. That's what parents are thinking, and that's what these coaches are thinking, like, hey, we can't play around no more. You see the rankings, you see what they wrote up about you, you see where they got us. So this aspect, you're already creating a business aspect to the youth athletics, and there always has been. It just adds another layer that I feel like is even worse than just the camera person on the sideline, because now you're creating an environment for these athletes to think about those things and have to worry about where they're ranked. Is a write-up about me going to change? Is that going to change the way I get recruited later on? Or is a high school going to not look at me as far as like a private school, or these schools where they actually can just recruit players and bring on more athletes for these top teams? That aspect of things really changes the game, as far as these athletes feeling like they have to, flex their muscles and have to call each other little and, get in each other's face, because now it's like, I need my write up to look good. I need, the image of me to look good, because I need to make sure that I'm on those rankings, or, I'm set up for the next level. And that next level, crazy enough, is middle school and high school. And on top of having parents feeling this way, you have coaches now that are taking this more serious. I mean, I've been at some youth games where there's been all out fights, and people going across the field and all kinds of crazy mess. And I mean, it was for a 7U team. So you hear about tragedies at youth sports games, and fights breaking out and shootings. I mean, it's crazy how things are going on. The youth sports is just becoming more and more professional versus just like, hey, the kids have fun. But I think that in a sense, though, parents have to understand what you're signing up for, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like if you're paying $1,500 for summer league, if you're paying for trips and uniforms, and you start to look around and realize like, okay, this isn't just my son or daughter, local youth league that's just all about having fun and just in it for the game kind of thing. That's the kind of competition, because this is obviously a business in of itself, because I'm invested in my child, because I see potential in them, and I'm going to do whatever I can to let everybody else see that potential. Over time, I've seen ESPN, I've seen all these different outlets post about these type of situations. And on the video that I'm referencing, and I'll put the link to it in the show notes, you even had Kevin Durant come and say, "Yeah, this is good stuff. Like this is what I want to see." So you get all this coverage on it now. I mean, there's no way that a parent's going to be like, "Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want our son or daughter to be able to get exposure like that." It's not going to really happen. And yes, it's on the players and the parents to and the coaches to see that and say that's not the good coverage that we want. But some people just say, hey, any exposure is good exposure, whatever the saying goes. That being said, it's like if I can get exposure to these now websites that are recruiting youth athletes, and that needs to be looked at, that's where you start to see these kids try to differentiate themselves, not just for a camera, but for these sites. And then on top of that, and I hope you're starting to see, like, there's some other things going on here that we need to address as far as the business of youth sports, is that now kids are continuing to get recruited at a younger age, and they're getting NIL deals at a younger age because some states allow now high school athletes to get NIL deals. If you're getting recruited for college in the 7th grade or the 8th grade, and you're getting NIL deals possibly like in high school, then it all just pushes the timeline back to when you start to take things serious. Like, you don't want to wait until the 8th grade now because, well, in the 8th grade, I can start getting offers. In the 7th grade, I can start getting interest and things like that. And I'm getting news reports about me because of my talent. So I'm not going to wait until that point to start taking it serious. I'm going to take it serious 2, maybe 3 grades ahead. And then that's where we get these 4th graders, these 5th graders showing out and doing all these crazy tricks and, trying to individualize themselves because I got to do it now because that's how we possibly get into college. I don't think it's all about money. I think some parents, yes, they are like, this is my ticket out. This is our ticket out by investing in this one athlete. But I also feel like, it's just for a more lighthearted reason. Like, I just want to get my son, my daughter into a good college. And so why should I stop and wait for them to have that experience or start working for that experience in high school when, so and so down the street just got interest from Kentucky, because, or Ole Miss or whoever school in, because so and so down the street just got a interest from a college and they're only in the 7th grade. So, I think that aspect as well needs to be talked about. It needs to be looked at as far as like, is this ruining youth athletics as we know it and professionalizing youth athletes at a much higher rate than just, again, and going back to it, a camera on the sideline. So when you really look at all the aspects, and I didn't even talk about, Netflix as far as creating a show called Friday Night Tykes that sort of glorified and it highlighted, but some could also say like or glorified and show how competitive youth athletics can get. So then, of course, that's going to lead to other teams adopting the same mindset, other leagues adopting the mindset of we need to create a show like this because you see the exposure that you can get, you see the type of opportunities that can come from it. And so it's important for us to understand that, like, you can't just look at the camera people and say, yo, they need to get out of here. And then once we do that, it'll be all fixed. And social media is just ruining the youth today. It's all the other things I just stated right here in this episode that are causing youth athletes to take the amateur nature of sports out of the equation now. And I hope that you all aren't doing the same when you look at some of these highlights and look at some of these, young players doing what they do. Just seeing it from that side just sort of blinds you from the rest of the picture. So I just wanted to leave you all with that. Really think about it. Again, the post that I am referencing is going to be in the show notes. Hope you all enjoy this episode. Please let me know what you think. If you like this episode, just leave us a 5-star review, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.